A lifetime of envy, the unwanted. Burden Claire's Saturday morning began with the sharp chime of her doorbell, shattering the quiet of her cozy home. She'd been savoring a rare moment of peace after a grueling work week, curled up with a coffee and a book. Expecting a delivery, she opened the door to find her sister Sophia's two children, 10-year-old Noah and 7-year-old Lily, standing on her porch, clutching small backpacks. Their wide, uncertain eyes met hers. Mom said, "You're watching us," Noah mumbled, shifting uncomfortably. "She's going on a trip." Claire's stomach dropped. "A trip? For how long?" 8 weeks, Lily said softly, clutching a stuffed bear. 8 weeks. The words hit like a slap. Claire hadn't spoken to Sophia since their family's 4th of July barbecue, where Sophia had sneered at her weight and dismissed her with a cutting remark about her tacky dress. The idea that Sophia would dump her kids without warning was absurd. Yet here they were. Claire ushered the kids inside, her mind racing. She dialed Sophia repeatedly, her calls ignored until, after a dozen attempts, Sophia picked up. "I'm not babysitting your kids for 2 months," Claire snapped, her voice trembling with fury. "You didn't even ask. Come get them, or I'm calling Child Protective Services." Sophia's response was chilling, her tone low and venomous. "Go ahead, Claire. Call CPS. But I'll call your boss and tell them you're off your meds, spiraling, unfit for your job. You want to lose everything you've worked for?" Claire froze. She didn't have bipolar disorder. Sophia was grasping at straws, but the threat stung. Her career as a financial analyst, hard-earned through years of sacrifice, was her lifeline. A false rumor could jeopardize her reputation. She hung up, her hands shaking, and stared at Noah and Lily, who sat quietly on her couch, unaware of the storm brewing, the golden child. Growing up, Claire and Sophia were never equals. Sophia, with her cascading curls and striking green eyes, was their mother's pride. The golden child. Their mother, Evelyn, doted on Sophia, praising her beauty and excusing her every flaw. Claire, with her straight brown hair and dark eyes, was perpetually in her sister's shadow. Evelyn's comparisons were relentless. "Why can't you dress like Sophia?" Or, "Ask your sister to teach you makeup." Sophia, however, reveled in her superiority, mocking Claire's attempts to emulate her. "You'll never pull it off," she'd taunt, laughing with her friends. Their mother's favoritism fueled Sophia's entitlement. She broke rules, lied, and bullied Claire without consequence. When Sophia slept with Claire's high school boyfriend Ethan in their senior year, despite calling him pathetic, Evelyn dismissed it. "Let it go, Claire," she said. "Don't make a scene." Their father, Robert, stood by silently, his passivity a quiet betrayal. Claire learned early that her feelings didn't matter. The constant comparisons eroded Claire's confidence. She grew quiet, withdrawn, and struggled with self-worth into adulthood. Therapy helped her recognize the damage, but standing up for herself remained a battle. Sophia, meanwhile, leaned into their mother's worst traits: narcissism, manipulation, and a belief that her beauty entitled her to anything. The cost of envy Claire's childhood wasn't all pain. Being the lesser sister meant she had no social life, so she buried herself in books. Her dedication paid off: a 4.0 GPA, valedictorian, and a full scholarship to a top university. Evelyn had already declared she'd fund Sophia's college but not Claire's, claiming Sophia, as the firstborn, deserved it. When Claire shared her scholarship news, her father offered a curt, "Good job," while Evelyn ignored her, later giving her the silent treatment for a week. It was as if Claire's success was an affront. That night, Claire sobbed in her room, her journal filling with raw hurt. She wrote until dawn, vowing to channel her pain into achievement. She'd build a life her family couldn't touch, one of stability and independence. At university, she excelled, graduating with honors and landing a high-paying job at a prestigious firm. By 23, she was earning 6 figures, a far cry from Sophia's path of partying, poor grades, and a college dropout. Sophia's life unraveled predictably. She failed out of college, got pregnant by a boyfriend she barely knew, and had a second child with him despite their toxic relationship. Claire pitied her nephews, knowing they were caught in their mother's chaos. The sisters' relationship, already strained, became non-existent. They saw each other only at family gatherings, where Sophia's insults about Claire's weight, clothes, or fake designer bags never ceased. At Thanksgiving, Sophia greeted her with, "Dressed like a snob again, huh?" in front of her kids, who looked embarrassed. The breaking point now, with Noah and Lily in her living room, Claire faced a crisis. She couldn't care for them. Not just because of her planned trip to Australia to meet her boyfriend Daniel's family, but because she refused to let Sophia manipulate her again. The trip was a milestone. Daniel, kind and supportive, was the first man she'd trusted in years. She wouldn't let Sophia ruin it. Claire sat the kids down with snacks and a movie, then called her best friend Mia for advice. "She's blackmailing me," Claire explained, her voice cracking. "She knows my job is everything. I can't risk it, but I can't watch her kids either." Mia was blunt. "Sophia's a bully, always has been. You can't let her win. Call her bluff. She's got no proof of anything." Claire hesitated. Mia was right, but the fear of losing her career loomed large. She decided to confront Sophia in person. She called a trusted neighbor, Mrs. Harper, to watch the kids, then drove to Sophia's apartment, an hour away. The place was a mess. Dishes piled in the sink, clothes strewn across the floor. Sophia answered the door, smirking. "You actually came," Sophia said, leaning against the frame. "Ready to play babysitter?" "No," Claire said firmly. "You're taking your kids back. I'm not doing this." Sophia's smirk faded. "You think you're better than me with your fancy job and house? You're nothing. I'll ruin you." Claire stood her ground, heart pounding. "Try it. I've already called my boss and explained everything. They know you're lying. Pick up your kids by tomorrow or I'm calling CPS." It was a bluff. Claire hadn't called her boss, but it worked. Sophia's face twisted with rage, but she nodded. "Fine, I'll get them tomorrow. The assault." The next evening, Claire was home with Noah and Lily when the doorbell rang. Expecting Sophia, she opened it to find two men she didn't recognize. Before she could react, they pushed inside, one grabbing her arms while the other rifled through her things. "Where's the kids?" one growled. Claire screamed, struggling, but a sharp blow to her head left her dizzy. Noah and Lily hid in a closet, trembling, as Claire fought to stay conscious. The men tore through her house, taking her laptop and jewelry before fleeing with the kids. Claire stumbled to her phone, called 911, and collapsed. At the hospital, she learned the men were hired by Sophia, who claimed Claire had kidnapped her children. The police, after hearing Claire's side and the kids' statements, arrested Sophia for child abandonment and orchestrating the assault. Reclaiming her voice, the attack was a turning point. Claire pressed charges, refusing to let Sophia's actions slide. In court, Sophia's charm failed her. The judge, unimpressed by her tears, sentenced her to 2 years in prison. Noah and Lily were placed with their paternal grandparents, who promised to keep them safe. Claire, though shaken, felt a weight lift. For the first time, she'd stood up to her sister and won. Therapy became her anchor. Her therapist, Dr. Ellis, helped her unpack decades of hurt, from her mother's favoritism to Sophia's cruelty. Claire began setting boundaries with her parents, who predictably defended Sophia. When Evelyn called her selfish for pressing charges, Claire cut contact. It was painful, but freeing. Claire's trip to Australia went ahead, delayed but not canceled. Daniel's family welcomed her warmly, and meeting them strengthened her resolve to build a life rooted in love, not resentment. She returned home with a renewed sense of purpose. At work, she earned another promotion, her confidence growing. She also started mentoring young women at her company, sharing her story to inspire resilience. Noah and Lily visited occasionally, and Claire worked to give them the stability their mother never could. She didn't forgive Sophia, but she let go of the hatred, focusing instead on her own growth. Her house, once a battleground, became a sanctuary, a place where she could finally be herself. The strength within years later, Claire stood at a company gala, accepting an award for leadership. As she spoke, she caught her reflection in a glass door, not the lesser sister, but a woman who'd built a life on her terms. Sophia's entitlement had nearly broken her, but Claire's strength, forged in pain and perseverance, shone brighter than any pedestal. She'd turned her rage into triumph, proving that real worth comes not from others' praise, but from within.